Hey everybody, Joy here. It's Wednesday, February 2019, and I'm getting ready to show you my version of Palmer and Pletsch. I promise you, it is not complete, it is not everything that you need to know about it. I'm just showing you how I did this one top. This is Simplicity 8297, but I did find a whole bunch of videos you can look at, and then you can see it right from the top people themselves that created the system, the Palmers. I think Pletsch is gone now, but the Palmers are there. Patty Palmer and her daughter Melissa Watson. And I am going to put an insert right here so you can see what I'm talking about. Right here, watch this. All right, you can see up here what I searched for. And then you can see a whole bunch of YouTube videos came up. This is Melissa Palmer. She's Patty Palmer's daughter. Here's one on Learn to Fit with Melissa Watson, McCall's wide leg pants. Here's one, Learn to Fit with Melissa Watson, McCall's dress. Here's one, This Fabric Mart Fit Along week, the Fabric Mart Fit Along week 1. Fabric Mart Fit Along, Palmer Pletsch Tissue Fitting Method. Palmer Pletsch Fitting. They just go on and on, you guys. Learn to Fit with Melissa Watson. Fabric Mart Fit Along Episode 2. Oh my gosh, there's so much information here, you guys. Sit down, get you a cuppa, and watch the Palmer Pletsch Method all you want. Okay, now that you know where you can go and you can look at it done well with people that have somebody to hold the camera and take close-up shots and everything, you can watch my system, which is far from professional, let's put it that way. And I messed up one of the scenes, one of the clips where I was showing you the second try-on of the paper top. And I somehow forgot to turn on the record button or something when I was editing it. I'm like, where's the second try-on? Where's the second try-on? Didn't even exist. So, somewhere in this video, I'm going to put this on and show you all the differences in it after I was done. But for now, here you can start watching me do the Palmer Pletsch fitting system on my paper pattern right here. Okay, step 1. For Palmer Pletsch method. Measure your upper chest. We're going to make a blouse. We're not going to make it by our full bust. We're going to make it by our upper bust measurement, okay? Because your upper bust measurement includes the measurements in the pattern for your shoulders and your neck. If you make it according to your full bust, for some reason the pattern companies think that your shoulders get bigger and your neck gets bigger and all kinds of things get bigger that don't. So, put it around your back, put your arms down, just spread your back as fat as it goes. Pull this pretty tight because you want your bones. And that's the measurement you're going to take when you look at the back of the pattern and it says bust. You're going to look for this number on the back of the pattern. Step 1. Okay, step 2 is arrange pattern pieces. Now for a lot of you new seamstresses, when you buy a new pattern, you need to pull out the paper inside that shows all the different views and then mark. This is an erasable ink pen here. These are wonderful. These are called Frixion, F-R-I-X-I-O-N pens, and they're wonderful. So I have drawn a square around the view that I want. Then you look here, down here at the cutting layouts, and there's a cutting layout for every view. This is A, B, C. I'm using view D, and view D happens to be back here on the back. So there's view D shirt, I have it circled, and it shows all the pieces that I need to have for this shirt. Now, when I'm doing all of my adjustments to the front and the back, that's going to affect facings and other pieces in this garment. So I'm going to get all the pieces cut out. I'm not going to cut out any of the pieces I don't need. My mother used to sit down and trim every single piece in the pattern with scissors. I'm only going to cut out the ones that I need for this shirt, okay? And it says that I need pieces 1, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. If you're a new seamstress, I really wouldn't start with this blouse. Okay, let me tell you something about patterns. You will find mistakes in patterns. I have found many mistakes in patterns. Now that guide that I just showed you said that I need pattern piece number 1. This is pattern piece number 1 right here. That's pattern piece number 1. On this piece it says this is the front for views A, B, and C. I'm making view D. This says it's the front for A, B, C, but this is number 1. So right away I've got to go, oh my goodness. So I looked at the pattern. I could see that the front of D was cut off about halfway down. There's no cutoff line on this. And so I searched the other pattern pieces and I found piece number 12, which it also says I have to have piece number 12, but you do not need piece number 1. This is piece number 12 and it says front for D, okay? So don't be shocked if you find some mistakes in these commercial patterns. Here you can see all of the pieces that I had to cut out for view D. Notice that I roughly trim them. I don't trim them on the lines. I roughly trim them because I'm not exactly sure what lines I'm going to use yet. But those are all the pieces. They're all trimmed and they're all pressed. I press them with a dry iron and it's hot. But you need to press them before you start doing your sizing and your Palmer Pletsching, because once you get all that tape on it, oh, it's not a good time to press them then. You need to write down this measurement. How far are you from one shoulder to the other shoulder? And you do your shoulder where if you lift your arm up, there's a dent right there. That's the point on the shoulder you want. Lift this shoulder, find the dent. I've measured mine 500,000 million times. So I know where mine is. And I know that says 15. You have to look in the mirror and you have to get it right. You want to make sure you get that measurement right. All right, this says I'm 15. Now you need to mark your front. We're going to start on the front. I'm going to determine if on this pattern, on the size 12, which is the size I would use by my upper bust measurement, which was 36, means I would need a 12. So I am going to mark the seam lines, 5/8 inch, 5/8 inch, that point's right here. I'm going to line up the center front, not over here on this extension, center front. Find the center front. I line it up with a line on my board here. Your cutting mat should have lines on it because you're not going to be able to see center front. It's going to be up higher where your shoulder is. Then we're going to measure from where those two seam lines intersect over to center front. And on this pattern, it's 7.5 inches. 7.5 and 7.5 is 15 inches. So half of 15 is 7.5. You want to make sure that the shoulder comes out to where your shoulder is. That's the reason you use your upper bust. If I was to use the 42, it would say I used a size wasn't even in this envelope. It would say I was a size 18. The shoulders would be clear out here. I have narrow shoulders. I'm little in here. And I have a little neck and a little head. So, much easier to add the bust extension and the hip extension than to try to reduce all this stuff up here in a pattern, okay? So let me hold this so you can see it. Can you see I take a red pencil. I ordered these by the dozen. I got them off Amazon. I like the ones that are called Carmine Red, Prismacolor. And then I mark where I'm going to cut, because I'm going to use the size 12 up here in the shoulders, but over here where the bust area is, I'm going to come out to the 14 because I know I need a bigger size when I get down there because of my full bust. And your full bust is down here where the boobs are. Okay, so I'm coming out to a bigger size down here. So I've drawn it in red, so when I cut it out, I don't screw it up and cut it out. All right, I'll be back. All right, we're up to number 3. Mark front and back seams and trim. All right, remember my red pencil? I bought a whole bunch of these red pencils. I got them from Amazon the other day. They came with all these silly little stickers on top. I bought a box of a dozen. But they're carmine red and they're Prismacolor. I've used lots and lots of pencils. The others break, they're hard to sharpen. These have erasers that actually work. They're my favorite. You need a lot of red pencils. So, I've used the red pencil. I have marked. Now the back is 2 pieces, the top and the bottom, that go together. So you can see in the red I have marked all the seam lines. All the seam lines. I probably don't really need those at the bottom yet. These 2 pieces go together, so I've marked the 2 seam lines. I've marked the size 12 up here, all around the armhole, all around, where is it? I've marked the 12 all around the armhole, all around the armhole, then I've come out here to the 14 under the arm, because you got boobs under there. Now here's the front. I've marked the front. This bust dart's going to be too small, and I'll tell you how you find out in a minute, but make sure you've marked all your seam lines all the way around. What we're going to do is we are going to sew this pattern together with pins, and we are going to try it on in paper. But you have to have all those seam lines marked, because the next thing we're going to do is reinforce the seam lines with tape. Hold on one second, let me get my tape. We have removable tape and non-removable tape, 1/2 inch. You want 1/2 inch? 1/2 inch works the best. It's much better than 3/4. We're going to tear off about 1 inch pieces, and we are going to put the tape inside the red line that we drew. Inside. Not out here, in here. Because we're going to be trimming into the seam line in places, and we don't want it to rip inside to the pattern. Okay, so we're going to reinforce all around these red seam lines, all around the front, all around the back. Then we are going to pin this together with straight pins and try it on my body. Notice how I've done the back. This is tape, 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 all inside that red seam line. Tape, 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 tape. The best way to do the tape is to cut 1 to 2 inch pieces and overlap them. That's the best way. Palmer and Pletsch say it is, and I believe them. Okay? So now I'm going to do this piece up here and this piece up here and pin them together. Okay, here you can see that I've pinned the top back piece to the bottom back piece. How did I know where to pin it? Because I drew the red line to show the seam line. I matched up the 2 seam lines and I put the pins in it. Okay? I have it taped all around, so when I pull this on my body, this is paper, you guys, not fabric. When I pull this on my body, it would tear like crazy if I didn't reinforce. I don't have to reinforce center back because it's just going to lay down the center of my back. Okay, so now I've got the front taped, the back taped. I'm going to tape the front to the back. I'm going to pin it. I'm not going to tape them. I'm going to pin them. I'm going to pin all the way around this seam line. I'm going to pin the bust dart in. I'm going to pin all the way around this seam line and this seam line. And then I'm going to go and put it on my body and see how far off the fit is. Okay, notice I've marked the bust dart in red, the size 14 bust dart, and I'm going to fold it and I'm going to attach it with removable tape because I'm going to need to undo that bust dart. Okay, so that's what I use the removable tape for. Okay, it just so happens that I made some camisoles to actually go to the Palmer and Pletsch class in Tulsa years ago when I went with Billy. So, thank goodness I have something to cover up in. So, the reason you tape everything is you have to clip. You clip the neckline and you clip the arms. Out here, the armholes. You clip the armholes, front and back. Clip the neck. Otherwise, it's not going to go on you. Now, I can't really show you this very well without a mirror. But the idea of this step is, and it really helps if you have a friend like Philly, the idea of this step is center back has to meet your center back. Center front has to meet your center front. And you can see my center front's right here. I'm at least an inch away. At least an inch away. If I pull this, it's because it only has a B bust dart and I'm not a B. So you measure from the center front of the pattern to your center front, and I'm exactly 1 inch away, okay? That means I have to add a 1 inch full bust adjustment. Now, it has been said by several teachers, I think Louie's cutting for one, that you should not go over 1.5 inches on a full bust adjustment. However, Philly has actually done as much as 3. Philly's got Dolly Parton boobs. Little tiny thing, Dolly Parton boobs. So she's actually done 3 inches. So, you don't know what you can do till you do it. So, I know the back probably isn't meeting my center back, or maybe it is, it might be. The shoulders, now see the shoulders, see the neck and the shoulders. Do you see if I had started with a size 18, which is what it says I needed, that'd be clear out here. This would be clear up here on my neck. It would be crossing way over here. But because I did it by my upper bust, it fits me all through here just fine. It meets my center front up here. I have boobs up here. Houston, we have a problem. You know, I just had this on and marked my apex. The apex for this B boob in this pattern is right here. My apex is down here. It is 2 3/8 inches below the apex that's up here under this person's armpit. So, there's several different ways you can look at this. The first thing I'm going to do is cut this bust dart out and move it down here where I'm at. Before I do the full bust adjustment, that's what I'm going to do. I'll be back. Okay, I simply cut the bust dart out and moved it down 2 1/4 inches, and I lined this back up with size 14 over here on the edge. So it's hard to believe that I'm clear down here. But I'm going to fill this in with paper, pin the bust dart shut again, put it back on, and see if I did this right. Now, it may be when I get to this point, I get upset and toss it in the trash. But if it comes out right, then I'll keep on going. We shall see. Okay, I've drawn my lines for the FBA in blue. The lights are all making shadows here. From the base, always line everything up. Line everything up with the straight of grain, so when you're cutting lines on grain. So here's my blue line up to my apex, over to the armhole. And then here's the blue line over through the center of the bust dart. Okay? Now that's what I am going to cut in order to make my FBA. I'm going to cut up here, through this point, and all the way over here, but not all the way cutting it through the end. Then I'm going to come over here and cut this all the way up to, but not through. So there'll be a hinge here and a hinge here. I'll show you in a minute. Okay, here is my 1 inch. Remember, I was 1 inch away from center front. This is center front, this dotted line. I was 1 inch away from this line to my center front. So I have added 1 inch here. That moves everything over an extra inch. And then that makes the bust dart way bigger, as you can see, because I don't have a B bust. I don't even know what I do have. I wear a C bra, but good Lord, that looks like a Z. Anyway, you fill this in with paper, you fill this in with paper, you draw your new bust dart, you fold your new bust dart in, you pin it all back together again to the back, and then you try it on. I'll be back. Okay, notice my new bust dart. Look at the little pink dots. This is the end of the bust dart. This is my apex. You never want your bust dart all the way up to your apex. We're not doing Madonna here. So here's the end of my bust dart. Here's where the original bust dart started. Here, and at this pink dart, we're still going to those 2 marks. We're just gonna have this much more in the middle. Okay, so I'm gonna fold that bust dart out, pin this back together, and put it on. But look how much more fabric. Now this isn't extra fabric here, that's just where I moved the bust dart down. But we've got all this extra fabric in here, okay? Alrighty. Haven't done anything to the back yet. Okay, I just want you guys to see my new blouse front. Here is where you cut it off at the bottom of the front. You can notice now that it's longer over here in the front because of this FBA. So there's more length to go over your bust as well as to make a proper bust dart. This is awesome, this full bust adjustment business. It is really awesome. I've lowered the shoulder. I've taped all my cuts back together because I'm gonna cut this out. The only thing I'm not real sure of if this waistline's in the right place, but I will figure that out. You guys know how to do that. Just add length, shorten it or lengthen it. Okay? I'll be back. All right, I have determined that my shoulder is way down here. So I measured up 5/8 inch from there. And I found out that I need to move this shoulder point down 3/8 inch. So I am going to cut this like this. I'm going to cut it here and here. I'm just going to cut a box right there. And then I'm going to move the whole thing down 3/8 inch and redraw the shoulder. Notice how I have lined my ruler up. I've got my grain straight on the lines, on these lines on this cutting mat. I have my grain straight. I have my ruler straight, and I have simply drawn a little box from here to here around this armhole, and I've marked it with a purple line. Can we see the purple line? I think so. Right here is the purple line. See the purple line? I am going to cut on that purple line, and then I am going to move that armhole down 3/8 inch. And then I'm going to redraw the shoulder line. Notice that I have taped all my slashes back together. You do a lot of work on this pattern, guys. This is why if you're just starting out, buy 3 of these patterns when they're on sale. So you can practice and practice and practice. So I'm going to cut here and move that down 3/8 inch. I'll show you when I get it all done. And got to do it on the back too. All right, this is still the front. Notice here I've got a jog in my shoulder because I've moved this whole armhole down 3/8 inch. Notice I've got a little jog over here too. I'll just fill that in, draw a new line. Make the side straight. And then up here, I'll put a little piece of paper and I will draw. I don't really need much paper here. I will draw from this point to this point over here. I'll show you when I get it done. Notice the dark blue line from where I lowered the shoulder point down to over here by the neck where it already was. So I'll be cutting off this part above, and that will make this line up with my shoulder. This way you don't lose your armhole. Your sleeve still fits, your armhole still the same, everything. It is just totally awesome. All right, here's the back. Now you can put the round back here in the yoke, but I didn't want to put it in the yoke because I just wanted to cut it out like it was. So I put the round back up here. I just added about 3/8 inch round back because I know that's what I need. And then down here I took out about 5/8 inch. I cut all the way across here and then I crossed this over 5/8 inch to take out all the extra fabric that always pools up there on my waist. So that's a sway back. I moved the shoulder down like I did on the front. So now the shoulder lines are the same. And this is ready to figure out the length. Okay, everybody, here's try on number 2. An add-on. I've got the paper all fixed now. I've got the full bust adjustment in it. I've got the shoulder slope corrected. I've lengthened it for my waist. I've done the round back, the sway back, And I think that's everything. Now you remember, way back in the beginning where I started this paper pattern was 1 inch away from the center front of me, okay? So we're gonna try it on now. And remember, it's much better with 2 people. I wish Billy could be here, but she can't. So let's try it on now and see where we are, okay? All right, and now, this is why I think you'll see on the Palmer Pletsch videos that they just have a big mirror they hold up and they look at the back of them. I like a 3-way mirror. I mean, I've only got 2 hands and I've got to hold it on the front, hold it on the back, and I can't be holding another mirror, although I do have one. Okay, so you get in your 3-way mirror here. You pull this up to your neck. Now see, probably should slap a piece of tape back there to hold that down. I already know this fits, I'm just showing you guys. So, in this mirror, I can put it together and I can look at the back of me and I can see with the side seam on the side of me and this up on my shoulder where it belongs, I can see if the center back is going to make it to my center back. See? So y'all can see it's fine in the center back. I've raised the neck a little bit. I'm not even sure I needed it in this pattern. It seems pretty high, but I can always cut it back down. Okay, so that's the back. Side seam here. You might always remember the Sandra Bethzina tip. Let's look at the front. You remember? Try on one. This was 1 inch away. It was way over here. Now it reaches my center front because of the full bust adjustment. That's what it does. I have clips in the arm hole on the seam lines out here. I have clips down the side seam or this wouldn't pull on very good. I've got enough tape on this. I don't think it will ever fall apart. Another thing that I have done is I have lowered the front neckline. This is going to have a collar on it. I cannot stand anything up here strangling my neck. I've got enough saggy skin up there. I don't need anything else on my neck. So I lowered the neck so it's down here. I like it right down here. I don't want it up here. And I don't want the sides up there or the back up there. I like the collar down low, okay? So, this is try on number 2, and you can see the massive difference. Isn't this a great way, y'all? Now, you say, well, what about SureFit Designs? If I had drawn this in SureFit Designs, I would not have the bust problem. I'd still have to do the round back, I'd still have to do the sway back, but I wouldn't have the bust problem. And I wouldn't have to worry about whether it was going to reach my center front, or if the shoulders were going to be right, or if the waist was going to be right, or if the hips were going to be right. But this style is very chopped up and has a lot of pieces. What did I say, 13 pieces to start with? And since I know how to do these things and make it fit, and I enjoy it. This took me, goodness, 6 hours at least to do this, you guys. But I enjoy it, and it's worth it. And if I get this put together and I really like it, I could just cut it out, cut it out, cut it out, and just make all I want. Do color blocking, change the sleeve style, change the neck style, as long as the biggest part of it matches. Okay? So, end of my Palmer Pletsch video. You can watch Melissa do pants. I think she does pants, a dress, and I'm not sure if she does the top. Now, there's some classes on Craftsy that's now called Blueprint. And there's 2 classes from Patty and her mother. They're both excellent. One is on pants, one's on a blouse. So if you really want to learn how to do this, take a couple days, sit down, take notes, watch all the classes, and then you'll be really good at it. So, bye for now, guys. I'll be back soon and show you the blouse all made up.